We welcome you today, friends, to our study of the Scriptures. We're continuing and conducting a series of studies that we've entitled Journeys Through Acts. We're glad you've chosen to be with us today. We're so grateful and appreciative always of those that tune in and listen. And we encourage you to listen to our Daniel series, which will be on this coming Wednesday. As we, in our last session, pointed out, we were going to discuss today the Bible heart. As we look at the book of Acts, the second chapter, from whence our words and our lessons will basically taken from today, we find that the Apostle Peter had preached a sermon concerning Jesus Christ. He sought to prove that Jesus Christ, though crucified by Roman soldiers, by the accord and by the willingness of the Jewish people, that he'd been raised from the dead. And he offered three courses of proof for that. First of all, he sought to prove that Jesus had been raised from the dead by appealing to the fact that he and the other apostles were witnesses. They had eaten with the Savior after he had been raised from the dead. They had conversed with him for 40 days. He had communicated with them about the coming kingdom. They were very well qualified to testify he's risen. Then he appealed to the matter of prophecy. He pointed out that David had prophesied of the resurrection of the one that would be his seed in Psalms, the 16th chapter, and of his ascension back to the Father after his resurrection. He used another prophecy of David, Psalms 110, in which David said, "The Lord said to my Lord, sit thou at my right hand till I make thine enemies the footstool of thy feet." Then Peter used one final proof that Jesus was raised from the dead. These individuals had heard with their ears. They had seen these individuals that had tongues like as a fire sitting upon them. They heard them speaking with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. And Peter said that these things that you see are the things that came from Jesus Christ, that he's received the promise from the Father, and he hath poured forth this which you see and hear. They had seen, they had heard, they saw something that was in the miraculous realm, and Peter said it came from Jesus Christ. Then, having said that, he declared, "Let all the house of Israel know assuredly God's made him Lord and Christ, this Jesus whom you crucified." These words had a very telling effect upon the people that were listening to Peter. The record declares that when they heard this, they were pricked in their hearts, and they said to Peter and the other apostles, "Brethren, what shall we do?" These individuals, then, were ones that were pricked in their heart. Friends, we believe in heartfelt religion. We believe that an individual must indeed be one that his heart is involved in the matter of his redemption and in the matter of his salvation. But the question of heartfelt religion is something that needs closer examination. For what do we mean when we talk about heartfelt religion? So oftentimes people pat themselves on their chest and say, "I feel right here." Well, the Bible teaches that, yes, this is my blood pump, but no, this is not that with which I believe, nor that which I feel. We look in the Bible, and the Bible tells us that there is such a thing as heartfelt religion. But when we look in the Bible, we find that the Bible heart, in which that salvation is involved and has a certain part within, we find that the Bible teaches that that heart is something that can be, as in Acts 2, pricked, as in Acts 7, cut. It is something that can be broken. Acts the 20th chapter, it is something that can be stolen. You can't steal this heart and the individual that it belongs to continue to survive. But the Bible heart can be stolen. When we look then, we find that there are four things that are involved as far as the Bible heart is concerned. First, understand that the Bible heart is the function by which that we think and we reason. In essence, then, the Bible heart is that is the center of my intellect. The Bible teaches in the book of Proverbs, the 23rd chapter, as a man thinketh within his heart, so is he. I think in my heart. The Bible said that Jesus spake to certain Jews of his day that were thinking, but they weren't talking out loud. And they were thinking things that were evil. And he asked them, why do you reason evil in your heart? I reason with my heart. I think with my heart. And then the Bible tells me that with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made to salvation. Is it with this blood pump that I reason? Is it with this blood pump that I believe? Is it with this blood pump that I think? My friend, you know better than that. You know I don't think with my blood pump. It is essential. But with the Bible heart, then, I do reason, I do think, and I do believe. The Bible heart is not the blood pump. The Bible heart is also the center of something else. It is the center of my emotions. The two great commandments are these: thou shalt love the Lord with all thy heart, thy soul, thy mind. And a second, like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I love God with my heart. I love my neighbor with my heart. But just as love is an emotion of the heart, so hatred can be. When David rescued or reclaimed his wife after her father had given his wife to another man, the Bible teaches us that her affections toward David had altered greatly. And the Bible tells us that as far as her affections then, that she looked at David and she hated him in her heart. So with the heart we may love, but on the other hand, with our heart we may hate. The Bible teaches us that we may have joy in our heart. We may have sorrow in our heart. These are emotions, but they are those things that are a part of the Bible heart. There is a third function of the Bible heart. And that is the matter as far as my will is concerned, my conscience as well. And we look, and the Bible teaches us that our hearts are the center by which that we may be pricked, just as these individuals were affected in Acts, the 2nd chapter. In the book of 1 John, the Bible says in the 3rd chapter, in regard to this, that as far as our hearts are concerned, that if our hearts condemn us, God is greater than our hearts and knoweth all things. If our hearts condemn us not, then we have great boldness toward God. My heart may condemn us, my heart may not condemn me. And that is the means of a conscience. Paul talks about this aspect in Romans, the 2nd chapter, where he talks about our hearts either excusing or condemning us. And the Bible heart has as one of its functions the matter of this consciousness. We look and we find that there is a fourth faction as far as the heart is concerned, function of the heart. And that fourth function is my will. I must purpose in my heart. We look in Paul's writings to the Corinthian church, and he wrote to that church regarding the matter of contribution. And in his second letter to them, he said, let each man do according as he hath purposed in his heart, not grudgingly, nor of necessity, but as a cheerful giver. Paul tells us that we are to purpose in our heart, and that means we determine that we will do something. When Paul wrote to the Roman church, he said the same thing in regard to the heart being something that was our will. Having described to these individuals that they had been baptized into Christ and had been buried with him and put on him in their baptism, he said in the 17th verse of the 6th chapter of Romans that God be thanked, that whereas ye were servants of sin, you obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine delivered unto you, and being then made free from sin, ye became servants of righteousness. These individuals obeyed from the heart. And so as we look at these things, we see that the matter of believing is not the function of the blood pump. The matter of being one that loves God is not the matter of the blood pump. It is the function of something else. The matter of being touched in their heart because of the matter of wrongdoing that we may do is something that's not the function of the blood pump. It's the function of something else. And the matter of purposing to do something and obeying is not something that's the function of the blood pump. It is the function of something else. What is it? Why, you know the answer to that. You know that the Bible heart is the mind, for it is with the mind that is the center of our intellect, by which that we can be touched as far as love or hate is concerned, by which we can be touched with a sense of being justified in what we did or guilty of what we have done. And it is that center by which is that we may determine to do a thing or not to do a certain thing. Salvation, friends, all of these functions of the heart are utilized. The intellect is that is utilized, for I must believe certain things. I must believe that God is. I must believe that Jesus is His Son. I must believe that the Bible is His Word. And I must believe that Jesus was raised from the dead and that He's coming again and that there is a judgment. And as I listen and I see those things, then a second function of my heart is utilized. For Christ died. And why did He die? He died for me. He died that I might be redeemed from my iniquities. And He died because I was a sinner. And my love for Him is stirred, that one that was so sinless could die for one that was a sinner like me. And then there is the matter of the third function of the conscience. Why did Jesus die? Because there was only one way that I could be redeemed, and that was through the sacrifice of an innocent, perfect being. And did I deserve Him? No. But did I have sins? Yes. And my conscience tells me that I have sinned and that I have fallen short of the glory of God. There is a final function of the Bible heart to be utilized, and that's my will. I choose either to obey God or I choose to disobey God. And Jesus has given me instructions of those things that I must do. And therefore, the Bible heart is something that is in every facet, something that is operative in my redemption and in my salvation. We thank you for listening today. In our next session, we're going to discuss the matter of the question that these individuals ask. Brethren, what should we do? The question that we're going to consider in the next session is this: can man do anything? Is he able to act of his own volition? We thank you for listening. Been a pleasure to be able to study with you from Acts, the 2nd chapter, and verse 37. We hope that you will join with us in our next session and that you will thank God for the life that you have and the day He's given you. Thank you, friends.